Okay, something I forgot to mention, or I thought might have been good to mention, is when we're drawing vessels, let's do this. Um, they come out at a certain regularity, and you may want them with more or less uh, resolution, or you may want the edge loops closer together. And there are a lot of ways it could be described. Right now, it's going a single curved step to deliver one of the brush profiles. If we change this to 0.5 or thereabouts and click on it, now let me draw another one. Let me do this way. It will put them closer together. Can you see that? So now it's closer together. Because we're doing so many vessels, I really want them pretty far apart. I want them about 1. And so, oops. Yeah, that's what you get with ZBrush. You get some of that sometimes. So, so now they're about 1 distance apart, right? That's the same size that we made. So there's that. Let me see here. Finding stroke paths, bridging vessels. The principle that I'm going on here is when I make vessels, I'm just basically overlapping them on top of other vessels. And so they end up, so I'm never going to cut a hole in one of these vessels and put them back together properly. All I'm going to do is grab the move topological brush, and I'm going to move them down like this so that they intersect the other vessel. They're not going to be, and they're not even going to be done that carefully, and lots of times it doesn't happen at all. But I didn't know how else to do it. Some other things you need to know in order to be able to, some common things that you need. Let's say you wanted this end of this vessel to go sideways into the green one. Here's how I would do it. I would hit R for rotate. I would then hold the Command key and click on this polygon and drag in this direction. And that's going to create a mask and leave the tip of the vessel unmasked, and then I would rotate it like this. Now, if you don't like that, you can turn it and smooth it. And I'm smoothing it by inverting the mask by clicking once in the background with the Command key. And that'll just toggle it back and forth. And then if you click once on the object with, again, holding the Command key, it will smooth that mask. If you hit Command and Option, it will sharpen the mask and eventually make it sharper. But so again, I'm going to invert the mask. I'm going to hide the selection, and then I'm going to rotate this thing in like this. And you know, we're not building a piano, so these don't have to be perfect. And most of the time, these are going to be seen pretty small, actually, and you really by the time you get into production on one of these things, you don't have the time or the luxury to go and make them all right, and you don't really need to either. No one's ever going to see it. So my rule of thumb is to not worry about it, and then at the end, find the ones that are most noticeable, and then zoom in, and then deal with them at that point, So that's the principle. What else? This wrinkled path down here, let's go back to that for a minute. It's actually kind of fun because you can let's get the path back, turn this back on, and you can draw out a path that's nice and smooth. And sometimes there are some advantages to grabbing the tip of it and pushing it backwards and seeing what happens. And it will wrinkle up and try to stay. It's both trying to snap and trying to maintain some integrity in there. Anyhow, these sorts of loops can look correct. I mean, they look correct to me, and so it's not really doing it right now. Sometimes it will make some really crazy things. That's not what I want. Let's see if we delete that and get another one. Let's draw one in here, and then try. Yeah, see, it made a loop in there. You can see. So if you push it backwards, it's going to make these little curly cues. And there's probably someone who is really knowledgeable would probably know how to set these the parameters, and get something that was really useful. And I don't really do that. I just kind of experiment with it, and in the end, Some of it works and some of it doesn't. And the paths I don't like, I just delete. So, and the smoothing function, again, you do that by getting the blue cursor by just moving your cursor over the stroke, and then holding down the Shift key, and then click. Let me do that again. Clicking and then holding down the Shift key, and then that will smooth the path out. And if it doesn't look right, you know. Anyhow, so I thought that might be useful to see. Let's see here. Get the move brush, move these back in. I'm showing you how I would do a small section of this. I guess I should make these vessel colored also. I think we can get rid of that. So that's, and now if we turn dynamic subdivision on, turn on smoothing and turn off thickness, so it has no thickness. Oh, thickness actually looks kind of cool. There are two subdivisions of. So you can see how you could create vessels pretty quickly that end up being, I don't know, kind of neat. If it was something this simple, you could actually dynamesh it and probably use retopology and get actual topology for it, or retopologize it with each of these in separate polygroups. That's probably a better way to do it, and then bridge them. We'll go into that in the demo if people are interested, but you know, this is not something you need very often. And again, where else would you need it? Do you need real topology for it? Probably not.